Hi Christ Church, I'm Katie Edwardson, Groups Ministry Director, and I'm so excited that we are all creating a personal rule of life together because this has been an exercise that I have found so helpful. I created a rule of life a few years ago, really out of necessity. I was in grad school and working a ton and just felt like my life was not working. I was crazy busy, just rushing from thing to thing. I felt scattered and hurried and just incongruent with the person that I wanted to be and with the abundant life that Jesus offers. If you've ever lived like this, it probably won't surprise you to hear that it didn't take long for my work and my relationships and my health to suffer, not to mention my life with God. Around this time, I actually received an assignment to create a rule of life for my coursework, and I immediately set out to just creating this long list of all these practices I wanted to try, all these new things that I wanted to do, to, I think, feel like I had a handle on things, like that I was doing all of this stuff to get my life together. Looking back, I'm amazed by how God used even just this exercise to really bring some things to the surface about my inner world and about how I was really doing. Thankfully, I had a wise mentor who I brought my list to, and she took one look at it and she said, why don't we really look at this and ask God, how is he calling you to live for him? What is he really asking you to do? Probably really thinking, why do you need to do all of this? She asked, could I scale it back to something that might actually be doable, a little bit more manageable, maybe even life-giving and fun and easy? Were there just maybe one or two habits that I was really drawn to trying, or some things that I was already doing and maybe just needed to reframe? So I narrowed it down to just a few habits in the areas of my life where I was most longing for renewal. And one of the habits that I think God used most in this season was the practice of Sabbath keeping. This was totally new to me, maybe it is to you too. Pete Scazzaro talks about Sabbath keeping as this, it's this day each week that we set aside that's just for stopping, for resting, for delighting and contemplating. And when I first started this, as I was doing this rule of life, just that first one of stopping work felt impossible. Even that first part, stopping work, felt unthinkable at first, but I knew that this is what God was inviting me to. Sabbath keeping has been an important part of a journey of healing and learning to walk with Jesus in a new way that God has used powerfully in my life. It's become my favorite day of the week and a habit that I'm so excited to use in my new rule of life that I'm updating along with you. And so I'd encourage you to maybe learn a little bit more about it and to consider including it in yours as well. I'm so thankful for how God has used habits like Sabbath keeping and for this bigger structure of a rule of life to help me grow in my love for him and others, and to live in a way that's more sustainable, that's more sort of in step with his spirit and with the person that he created me to be. But this is a process, so have some grace with yourself. Get input from others, take your time. Maybe you want to talk to some close friends, to some family members, or bring the rule of life that you're working on to your small group meeting so that you can get some input and work on it with others. It was so helpful to me to have that input from that wise mentor to sort of help me scale back to something that was more doable. You can also use the renewal plan booklet that we provided. You'll find that at the end of the book, there's this whole list of ideas for habits to try, as well as resources like some great books that you might want to read if you want to go deeper with understanding the rule of life. Above all, I'd encourage you to ask God to lead you as you are seeking to order your life. He loves you. He's the one who is going to renew you. And he's the one we're doing this for, that all these efforts are to bring glory to him. So may God give you grace to know and love him more as you develop your rule of life.